Without further ado, I'd like to welcome everyone to Intuit's presentation of Yes, You Can Do That in QuickBooks Online. Welcome everyone. This webinar is meant to be a lighthearted approach to some very real feelings that we're having around moving online. I am your presenter. My name is Robbie Randall, and I'm a 7-year veteran of the professional tax and accounting industry. I do have a great passion around helping small businesses thrive. If you know my backstory, I've owned a small business. I completely understand the headaches, the triumphs, those late nights at the kitchen table, trying to make stuff work. I get it. If there's any way that I can help your firm thrive or even your customers' small businesses thrive, please send me an email and let's collaborate. What I'm hoping to do today is share some insights that we've collected from some of our most successful cloud-based firms. Hopefully their insights are going to address some of the concerns that you may be having around features, processes, and change management. Remember to post your questions in the questions section. I will do my very best to get to all of them. Unfortunately, it's just me today, so I do ask that you please be patient. If that sounds about right, let's begin. Here's today's agenda. Let's set some expectations for today. One thing to mention before we get too far along, please keep in mind this is just an overview, or think of it as a reintroduction to QuickBooks Online, the Accountant's Edition. This session is not meant to be formal training. I'll show you where to get formal training once inside the program, but today we do keep it pretty high level. The second item to consider is that we're going to spend the first 10 minutes on a high level and answering poll questions. I get out 3 poll questions in the very beginning. That takes up a lot of time before we actually get into the product, so please bear with me. It's for all of our benefit. I want to make sure we get the majority of our poll questions out of the way so that we can all get our CPE. I promise you, the majority of our time together is going to be spent in product. With that in mind, here's the first poll question. Have you uploaded, liked, or commented on a photo on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram this month? We're about 60% voted. I keep it open for 1 minute or until we hit 100%. It's really straightforward. Have you uploaded, liked, or commented on a photo on social media this month? 89% voted. We're coming up on 30 seconds. 91% voted, 30 seconds. And while I have 30 seconds, I just want to thank everyone on the call today. It is tax season, and I know many of us are tax accountants or have taxation in our practice. The fact that you're spending time with me today is really awesome. We're at 45 seconds, 89% voted, 91% voted. I'm going to close polling here in about 9 seconds. I'm going to close polling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. We're at 54% yes, 46% no. Thank you all for answering the poll question today. All right, let's hop into the webinar. I want to unpack a little bit of the pain that you may be experiencing around moving from desktop products, desktop QuickBooks, to the cloud. I do want to lead with the benefit, though. I think it's important. We do have accounting professionals that are reporting back. They're saving on average around 8 hours per client per month. I have firms that are using automation with the App Store. They're blowing that time savings right out of the water. Now, I don't live under a rock, and as my mom from Mississippi would say, I do realize that if you're on this webinar, you're likely spending 8 hours more per client per month. I just want to let you know this is exactly why we started this series. I want to help you get on track, eliminate some of those barriers, and then start experiencing that time savings that's mentioned in this slide. If we get an opportunity to, once we get to the working trial balance inside of QuickBooks Online, remind me, and I'd love to share a story with you about Andrea Parnes. She's a CPA and a member of NCPAP, and she's had some remarkable experiences with the tax side of her business by leveraging QuickBooks Online Accountant. By now, everyone should know what QuickBooks Online is. We all know it's good for bookkeeping. What you may not know is that the Accountant's Edition is also a platform. Because it's a platform, you can manage all of your clients online, not just your bookkeeping clients. I'll speak more to that once we get into the actual software itself. As promised, here is the second poll question of today. Are you ProAdvisor certified for QuickBooks Online, either basic or advanced? Again, super simple, really straightforward. Are you ProAdvisor certified for QuickBooks Online Accountant, Basic or Advanced? I was just answering a quick question. Are you ProAdvisor certified for QuickBooks Online, Basic or Advanced? We're at 91% voted and 30 seconds. If you'll remember from the first one, I'm going to keep it open for 1 minute or until we have 100% participation. I want to make sure everyone has a CPE opportunity here. We're at 42 seconds. Hey, thank you, Melody. Thank you for those insights. Resign, does resign mean retire? Interesting. We're at 90, oh, okay, no, okay. We're at 91% voted. I'm going to close polling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. This is completely normal statistics. We're at 67% no. 67% no, only 33% yes. That is right in line with the webinars I've been conducting since November. It's usually 70% no, 30% yes. We're right in line with that. If you're having some frustration with the online product, I'm going to show you where to get formal training today. There's additional training inside the cookbook for the accounting staff. I've included training for both you and your clients. If your clients have bad habits, by all means, please, let's get them some training as well. But so very important that we all get at least basic certified. I think we can all agree that QuickBooks Online is not QuickBooks Desktop Online. It's just a different paradigm, a different program. We're just about to hop into QuickBooks Online, but before I do get a lot of questions around apps, so I just want to address it in a couple of slides. For some of you on this webinar, what I'm about to share is super important. For others of you, please bear with me for a quick moment. Look, if you're working with contractors, inventory, scheduling, GAAP compliance financials, compilation reports, if you have a desire to automate payables or receivables, let's get together offline and talk more about apps. Stacy Kildall is a ProAdvisor and QuickBooks Online expert. She recently shared an interesting point of view that apps keep small business owners and their employees out of the accounting software, which is returning to its natural home, the domain of the accountant bookkeeper. So for those of you who are investigating or in the investigation stage for apps, again, just contact me offline or call into your sales associate and let's talk through some of your options in more detail. I'm not going to spend any more time on that on this webinar. Here's our third poll question, and then we're going to hop right into QuickBooks Online. Have you enrolled a client in QBO in the last 3 months? We are at 82% voted, 11 seconds. 82%, 87% voted. All right, we're coming up on 30 seconds. Recall, I'm going to close polling when we have 100% participation or until we reach 1 minute. And we are at the 30-second mark now. 91% voted. Coming up on 40 seconds. 91% voted. Kind of feel like an auctioneer. Do I hear 92%? 92%. All right, coming up on 50 seconds. I'm going to close polling in about 9 seconds. I'm going to close polling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you all for, 93%. Glad I got that last one in there. We are at 36% yes, 64% no. Thank you all for your participation in the poll question. All right, let's go ahead and hop into QuickBooks Online. Now I want to share a little bit of housekeeping with you. I just want to make sure everyone's having the best experience possible. Part of that is the web browser best practices. So with your web browser, you want to make sure you're using Chrome, Firefox, or the Apple product. You want to stay away from Internet Explorer or the Microsoft Edge web browser. Microsoft products, for whatever reason, when we work online, we just don't play well with those products. I'm going to use Google for today, and you'll notice I have QuickBooks Online Accountant saved as a bookmark. You'll also notice I have reports, chart of accounts. I've got sections from QuickBooks Online saved as bookmarks as well. Just different ways to think about how to speed up your time in the program. You can absolutely save bookmarks for different things like reports. One last thing about Chrome, it saves everything, all of your history, it caches cookies, the whole deal, all of it. What you want to do at least once a week is clean out your history, the basic version, clean out the basic version of your history at least once a week. That's the 3 lines on the top, choose history, and then history again, and then clean out your basic history. Now, if you're working on very large QuickBooks files, you might want to do that twice a week. Just do it first thing in the morning when you come in, clean out your cookies, or last thing before you go home, just dump your cookies, dump your history. You'll have a much, much better experience with your web browsing. Also, your online applications will work much smoother. Another thing you'll notice, I've got 3 companies under the Accountants Edition. That's okay for me because I do a lot of testing. For your firm, you should really just have 1 company. So at some point, I wouldn't say your hair's on fire. You could tell I'm from the South. But at some point, you want to consolidate those and have 1 for your company. It'll just make things run a lot smoother. I'm going to call back on that as we go through the software itself. So I'm going to open up my QuickBooks right now. There you go. First thing you'll notice is we always land on the client dashboard. The client dashboard is a list of all my clients. And you see client out of the tree over here on the left. These are all my clients. Another call out, make sure above that you see accountant. You want to make sure you're logging into the Accountants Edition for so many reasons. The majority of what I'm going to show you today is only available in the Accountants Edition. As a ProAdvisor told me, it would be like trying to clean up your client's books in the desktop, but not in the Accountants Edition. So if you see QuickBooks on the top left, that means you're logging into your customer's books as a user. Again, you're going to miss out on all the tools I'm going to show you today. So here's our client list. If I want to sort out my bookkeeping clients from the drop-down menu, all I have to do is choose bookkeeping, and I'm on my way. Keep in mind, I mentioned earlier, because we're a platform, I can also have tax-only clients in there, and I can have clients without any products. Maybe I'm doing financial advising. I don't necessarily have a LaCert tax return for them, maybe individuals. There's different ways to look at it now that it's a platform. All right. Where to get help fast. Over on the far right, if you click the question mark, first thing you'll notice is a search menu. We use what's called natural language search. So if you want to learn more about how to reconcile your bank, type it in. We'll give you a tutorial. Sales tax. If you want to learn more about the bank feed, not sure how to make an adjustment, type it in there, and I bet you that we have the answer in our community. We also have chat, and then this is the ProAdvisor phone number. This isn't the normal QuickBooks Online phone number. The 888 number is for you. Another thing to mention that a ProAdvisor shared with me last week is that the more customers you have on QuickBooks Online, the higher tier of support that you have access to. I wasn't aware of that, so just a little added bonus for adding more people. Below that is the Accountant Help Hub. You want to think of that like Google for help. It's a separate window that you could keep open as you do your work. And then, of course, we have what's new in the product. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. Moving to the left, I'm going to click on the gear. This is where you set up your firm's settings. Keep in mind, I'm on the Accountants Edition, so this is where I manage globally for my firm. Once you drill down into your client, the gear then becomes theirs. So it does depend on what level you're on. Now I'm going to click on Company Settings. And the thing I want to call out here is, you can add your logos and your company information, accounting method defaults, that type of thing. One thing to make note of is that advanced features within QuickBooks Online come turned off. If you want to take advantage of things like class tracking and location tracking, you have to opt into them. You have to turn them on. By the way, if you're not taking advantage of classes, classes are a very cool feature within QuickBooks Online. Basically, you can build lists for just about anything. When you build a list, you can then track it in reporting. So in addition to locations, you can track classes. To give you an example, you see departments, locations, and product lines listed here. You can build out subclasses. I've got sales organizations that use this for their employees, their sales team. They can then track who sells what for when they issue commission. So to just give you an idea, kind of an out-of-the-box way of looking at it, classes are pretty remarkable. And then, of course, customers below. If you're working with nonprofits, you would want to change your customer label to donors or members. Just that easy, okay? Now, back to items being turned off. We do have custom fields available in QuickBooks Online, but you have to turn it on. Same thing with custom transaction numbers. And then whenever we roll out new features, to give an example, price rules. Price rules allow you and your customers to set windows for pricing. You know, maybe for your own firm, if you have a website and you're selling mugs or t-shirts, you know, you might want to do a holiday discount for 2 weeks. You could go in and create that rule and forget about it. It's pretty nifty. The thing to keep in mind is that it's turned off. So you'd want to turn that on. We also just released progress invoicing. That is turned off. You would want to turn that on to take advantage of it as well. Now, moving down that list on the left, expenses, we do have custom fields on purchase orders, custom messaging, payments. I would prefer you use QuickBooks Payments. I'm an Intuit guy. Because we have an open API, which means our coding is out on the market, our competitors write code for our product, you can use competitors. So if you want to use Square or PayPal, it automates and integrates with QuickBooks Online so you can automate your payables and receivables. Okay, now below that is advanced. Again, chart of accounts, if you want to enable account numbers on the COA, you have to turn it on. I get asked that quite a bit. Where's my account numbers? And then the other thing is multi-currency. Yes, we have it. Again, you have to turn that feature on within the system. Now, you might have caught on already. I've got Pay by Coin available on the left. This is actually a Bitcoin test. If you're interested in doing some beta testing for QuickBooks Online, go to the gear and click QuickBooks Labs. Now, you'll notice down at the bottom, I've got Pay by Coin turned on. These are what we call widgets. You could turn them on, you could turn it off. It's not going to hurt anything. But I do have the ability to accept payment through Bitcoin in QuickBooks Online now. One other thing to call out here, we have, within the last 2 months, we announced our integration with G Suite. What that means is we integrate with Google Gmail, we integrate with Google Calendar. So if you or your customers are using Gmail, this is exciting. From Gmail, you can create invoices and send them through the email. You can capture appointments, lots of cool stuff. It also integrates with QuickBooks Online, so that's what that means. All right, let's go ahead and close out of that. Back to the gear, I'm just gonna click on lists, and I wanna show you, you can build out lists for just about anything. Again, classes, all you have to do is click new on the top right, and you get the idea. You can build out a class, a subclass, all that can be available in reporting. Now back to the gear. Last thing I'm going to click on today is import data. I get asked quite a bit, can you import bank transactions? When you first set up the bank feed or you do a conversion, we only go 90 days back on the bank transactions. Maybe you want to have a year's worth of data in there. All you have to do is import that from Excel. We also import customers, vendors. You can import your chart of accounts if you have it set up already. You know, prices, descriptions, quantities on hand, all of that can be imported from Excel. We also convert from desktop. Part of the cookbook in the handout for the accounting staff, I've got conversion information in there. I've got where to get help, how to do it, you know, videos, lots of cool stuff available in there. Successful firms, what they do is they identify clients that would be a good fit for QuickBooks Online in their base. Maybe you have service companies, folks who work remote. I've got folks that work with dentists. They have niche, doctors, lots of cool stuff. Once you've identified those clients, you can then convert in large batches. If you're working with an account manager and you want to convert, say, 20 or more desktop files at a time, give us a call. We've got a team that can help you. All that's available under the gear. Now I'm going back to the client list over on the left. One thing I want to mention before I move on, you're probably noticing by now that you have your practice and then your books. Your books are your firm's books. So when I go to your offices and we sit and we talk and I'm like, hey, how would you like your QuickBooks Renewal to be free? Some of our firms have like 15 seats and they're like, yeah, absolutely, make that renewal free. Here it is. QuickBooks Online Accountant is completely free to manage your firm's books. We'll even include payroll. So if that's of interest to you, please let us know. We've got a team that can help you convert. Successful firms like to do that early on. They want to get into the product. They want to learn it so they can share those learnings with their clients. If that's of interest, just drop me a line and I can help you with those next steps. Frankly, on this webinar, a lot of us have not gotten to this stage, so I'm really not going to spend any time down here. It's very similar to your managing your clients' books. Again, if you have questions, just let me know. I'll help you out. All right, back to your practice. I'm moving down from clients over to how to add a client. So I'm going to go over to the far right and click on Add a Client. This is simply how to add a QuickBooks Online subscription. So there's a couple steps. First thing you want to do, especially if they're coming from desktop, is capture the same email address that they're using. If they're an Intuit customer, we identify you and your clients by your email address. So important. Make sure you capture the exact same email. Step 2, decide. Do you want your client to be billed direct, which means they get the bill every month and put in their credit card, or do you want your firm to be billed on your client's behalf? Okay. Now, if they're billed direct, they get a 12-month discount. If they come to us direct, they only get a 6-month discount. So by going to you, even though they're paying, they get some additional love than they would if they just came directly to us. Now, wholesale billing, where your firm is billed, they actually get a 50% off for life discount, which is huge. Wholesale billing was really never meant to be a discount lever. Of course, you can use it that way. It was really meant to align with value pricing. If you want some more information on value pricing, check out Renee Daggert's talks online or Mr. Jim Baker. They've got some great stuff on value pricing. We're not going to get into that today. That's a topic for another time. So if you're not sure which version of QuickBooks to put your clients on, just click Compare. Usually on your onboarding, when you do your interview, that's when you'd want to talk to your clients about which version is best for them. If your clients are hands-off, the matrix is pretty great to help you decide. Now, from here, you can also decide who in your firm is going to work on the books. So you can pick your team members from this view, which is pretty darn handy. Now, I've told you why or how to do this. So let me tell you why you want to do it this way. Historically, if your customer raised their hand and said, look, I want to use QuickBooks Online, we would say, great, go to the web, purchase it, and then invite me as your accountant or bookkeeper. Successful firms have figured out you want to turn that on its head. You actually want to extend the invitation to your client and invite them to your accountant's edition. So much benefit. Biggest reason is that you maintain admin rights. What does that mean? When you close out a period and you set a password to lock your clients out, if they've retained the admin rights, they can still go in and make changes. If you want to avoid that hassle and that mess, you extend the invitation, you retain the admin rights. If they've invited you as their accountant, typically what you have to do is go back and ask them to transfer those rights over to you or someone in your firm. It can be an awkward conversation. Either way, it's time consuming and low value. We want to eliminate low value work. The number 2 reason is that you control the chart of accounts when you control the onboarding. What does that mean? No one likes that busy cleanup work that we get stuck doing whenever our clients invite us to look at their books. If you want to avoid that mess, control the onboarding, extend the chart of accounts, you're going to all but eliminate that, okay? So many good reasons. Those are just 2 to get you started. All right, I'm going to close out of that. Now, I'm moving back over to the left to the selections here, and under your practice, I'm going to click on team. This is where we set up our employees. Now, once you get your firms consolidated, like I mentioned earlier, you then set up all of your employees under the same firm. From there, you can say, look, if I don't want Robbie working on big business, all I have to do is uncheck it. It really is that easy. More importantly, in this example, if Robbie leaves the firm, the books bubble up to the firm now versus the old way of doing it where they bubble up to the staff member. You then have to go back and re-invite those clients to your firm. You don't have to do that. Once you consolidate your firm, it all boils up to the firm. All right, we also have administration rights. One of the main reasons clients tell me, look, I'm a little hesitant to convert my firm's books to the cloud is because I don't want my employees in my firm's books. If you're a firm owner or partner on the call, rest assured, you could turn that off for specific employees. They won't even see that section. Maybe you have an office manager who you do want in there, you would turn it on for them. This is our first pass at access rights. I've already spoken with the team. You should see some additional customization coming within the next couple of months. All right, closing this out. Moving down from team is the ProAdvisor. If you remember in the beginning, I made the disclaimer, this is not formal training. This is high level, kind of a reintroduction. This is your formal training, ProAdvisor tab. We have basic online certification and advanced online certification. Most of us want to at least secure the basic online certification. Reason is, and I'm sure and owners and partners would agree with me on this one, we don't want you writing off non-billable time. And you're going to. Trying to figure out the bank feed, trying to figure out reporting, it's just going to be a write-off. I don't want you doing that. We address all of that in our training, okay, under banking and reporting. At minimum, please get the basic certification. Now, if you live inside of QuickBooks and you know who you are on this call, I'll call you a champion. If you're a champion on the call, come out here and take the advanced training, and you're going to hear it here first. Take the advanced training. I do not recommend taking the advanced exam. The training itself is really great. Again, advanced banking, advanced reporting, complex conversions, really good stuff. The exam is incredibly difficult, time consuming, and did I mention it's tax season? I wouldn't bother with that exam right now. Let's push that off indefinitely, okay? That's where your formal training is for you and your staff. Now for desktop and for your clients, that is available under the training tab. So when you get to the point of when you're onboarding clients and you're controlling the onboarding process for your small businesses, by all means extend training to them, especially if they have bad habits. I've got additional vignettes, a website with little 2 to 3 minute videos on how to do specific actions. That's available under the cookbook for the accounting staff. Please, let's get them out of bad habits too. Nobody likes to go in and clean up stuff over and over and over again. Let's get them trained up right. Now, discounts goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. We have discounts for you and your clients, especially if you want check stock. It's a great place to go get check stock for you and your clients. If you're a ProAdvisor, we do include 10 returns on ProConnect Tax Online, so that's a pretty great value. Resources, just some really helpful materials. What I do want to call out is down at the bottom. We've got 6 sample engagement letters. Look, if you're not setting up engagement letters yet for your accounting services, please start, especially with online. We're talking a lot about value pricing and value pricing tiers. Frankly, onboarding your clients to QuickBooks Online, that should be an area where you use time billing. That should also be laid out on your engagement letter. Another thing I'm seeing ProAdvisors do on the engagement letter is that they put a little disclaimer down at the bottom that we reserve the right to review pricing at any time. Another message I saw was that we reserve the right to review pricing annually. You want to start putting that in your engagement letter as well. Things are happening so quickly in the cloud, you just never know, when that's going to happen. All right, now Profile is your ProAdvisor profile online. We have around 700,000 unique small businesses who connect with ProAdvisors each and every year. That's around 60,000 per month. What you may not know is that you can also promote the tax side of your business on the QuickBooks ProAdvisor website. So we reimagined what your profile looks like. You can now put that tax information right out there. When I go online and look for a tax pro this time of year, it's going to sort you out to the top. So great way to get some free PR and some free marketing. Now under the Work tab, this is the new practice management tool that the Accountants Advisory Panel has created. You may not be aware, we've got a panel of customers that meets with our developers and leadership on a regular basis. Two things have recently come out of their meetings. The first is the practice management tool. The second thing is the trial balance, which I'll show you here in a little bit. Someone's asking for checks. Yep, I'm going to get to that here in just a little bit. We've got quite a lot to cover here in the next 20 minutes, so bear with me. We're getting there shortly. All right, back to the practice management tool. You'll notice these are tiles. This is what we call a tile view. You could tell what's due today, this week, next 30 days. If you don't like the tile view, you can always turn it into a linear view just by clicking those three lines on the far right. Now this is great for the majority of you. When I go to your offices and I sit and I watch you work, lots of us use sticky notes, Outlook, notepads. I mean, I went into one office very recently. The guy had so many sticky notes. It was amazing. I'd never seen so many stuck around his desk and computer. As a firm, if you want to get on one system where you have a dashboard view, you can communicate with your clients, the Work Practice Management tool is pretty amazing. It's free. It's included in your Accountants Edition at no cost, and let me show you some additional features of it. You can filter by client. If you remember in the beginning, being a platform, we can now manage more than just bookkeeping. So if it's an individual or a tax-only client, we can set up tasks for them as well. We can filter by employees, which is great. We can filter by statuses, and we can also create custom date ranges. Now, when I go back to the tile view, you may notice I've got these green tiles here. It's kind of hard to see. Let me make this larger. You see the tiles with the green outline or the green dots? Basically, that's pulling in from other QuickBooks Online subscriptions. So what it's doing is telling me for Katie's company that payroll is due. For General Product Store, I've got 99 unaccepted bank transactions. So we don't want anything to fall through the cracks. We just want to alert you to the fact that these items are sitting out there. Now, what our firms told us was, look, that information is great, but there's times during the month where we just want to manage our firm. All you have to do is click the little toggle to turn off that noise. See there? You can pull that right out and just manage your firm. Now, let's talk about a task, right? What's a project that we can work on that's easy to do to get started? All you have to do on the top right is click Create Project. Let's say for your customer, you have a quarterly meeting. Let's go ahead and add it to your client. Again, it could be an individual, a business, a tax client. Let's go ahead and add it to General Product Store. Maybe you work off of a calendar year. If not, put your fiscal year. Assign it to someone in your firm. And then add notes about the meeting. Maybe you're doing full write-up for your customer. Maybe you're just doing after the fact. Maybe you have an 1120S that you need to manage. Now, because this is a reoccurring task, all I need to do is click repeat, set it on quarterly, and then my friend Jim, he usually initiates his meetings on the 15th to set them up for the 20th and the 23rd. But you'll notice here under upcoming, we've created the quarterly meetings now every quarter on the 15th. To take a little deeper, maybe you need to pull some reports for those meetings ahead of time. All you need to do is click Add Task and then come in here and say, look, run P&L. Take it out to March 15th and back it up a day. And there you go. You get the idea. So you can add tasks, you can have reoccurring items, all very easy. Once you click Save, well, let me give it a different naming convention. Once you click Save, it'll then save to your practice manager. Now, you may or may not be aware, you can also email your clients from the platform. So let me introduce that to you from here. All you have to do is click Create Client Request. Again, you can email your clients directly from QuickBooks Online Accountant now. My last name's Randall. Let's say you need some documents from me. Let's add this to my account. You definitely want to give me a due date and then write me an email. Hi, Mr. Randall. We have reviewed your account and we have discovered that we need those X. Thank you, double R. All right, think about all the things you have to ask for throughout the year. Do you need receipts? Do you have to find out if those were personal or business expenses? I hear from you on these webinars that you need to get paid, right? If that's the case, you can now also manage documents from the system. Just click Add Document. If you want to attach an invoice, do it. We can attach Excel files, Word documents, PDFs. Not only is it sent in the email, it also attaches to your client file. So you have one place where all those documents are stored. Once you click Publish, you'll notice that it's sending an email. So if I'm working on an iPhone or a Droid, I'm going to get that email pop up. The other thing you'll notice is that I get notification from QuickBooks Online. So in the email, all I have to do is click the big green button. If you're asking me as a customer for a receipt, I can then take a picture of a receipt. It will attach to my file. You'll get notification. Everyone's happy. All right, let me click Publish and Send, and there it goes. Now I'm going to go back to the client list for a minute. Before I go into the books, which I'm about to, I want to click on the client name. This is where we have our customer relationship management. The first thing you're going to notice are notes. This is internal. So if you and your staff or you and your colleagues want to write notes on the account that your clients do not see, this is where you're going to do that. So you'll notice I asked Tony, hey, any word on those receipts? He responded to me, yes, I found them and attached them to the file. I also asked, hey, did you get those documents signed? If it's important and you want to pin it to the right, just click the little push pin and you'll notice it pins it over on the right. When you're done, you can unpin it or delete it, whatever you're comfortable with. Now, earlier I showed you I sent an attachment through an email. Those are found right here under Shared Documents. Remember, I'm on the file, not in it yet, but this is a shared space where my clients and I can share documents. To give you an idea, here's an example of an invoice that I sent. There you go. And then, just to reiterate, you can save JPEGs, Excel files, Word documents, PDFs, etc. So you're not limited to storage space. The only limit is it's a 25 megabyte upload. So you're limited to the file size when you upload, just be aware. All that's under Shared Documents. All right, I'm going to go back to the client list, and this time I'm going to go inside of a client. So let's go ahead and jump into someone's books. I'm going to use the drop-down menu at the top. That is the best practice. And I'm going to choose General Product Store. One thing you'll notice right off the bat, the toolbar across the top turns from green to black. This gives me a visual clue that I'm now inside of my customer's books. Okay, I'm no longer on the accountant level, I'm actually inside the books. However, you'll notice on the top left, I can still see accountant. One last reminder, if you see QuickBooks on the top left, that means you're logging into your client's file as a user. You don't get any of the accountant's tools I'm about to show you. Now, we always land on the dashboard. The dashboard is the health of the company. And the thing to keep in mind is that these are hyperlinks. So if I want to jump into overdue invoices, all I have to do is click it. And from here on, we're just going to continue to peel back that onion, right? I'm going to keep going layer by layer by layer. So I'm on the dashboard. Let me introduce you to the accountant's toolbox. The majority of the tasks that we do on a daily basis are all found under the accountant's toolbox. Okay? The majority of tasks that our customers do on a daily basis is all found over on the top right under the plus. Of course, because we're in the accountant's edition and I'm inside my customers' books, I get all of their tools plus mine. And I also want to alert you to the fact that, look, these entire first two columns plus journal entries can all be made reoccurring. So what do I mean by that? Let me click on bill. Let's say your client gets a paper bill slapped on their desk every month from a vendor, Or maybe your client hands you a stack of bills every month from vendors and you to have to type those in. My suggestion would be to come in here and create the bill, add in the information, and then down on the very bottom, click Make Reoccurring. Set the date, let's say every month on the 6th. QuickBooks Online will then generate that bill automatically. You don't have to continue to come in month after month and type in all of those bills, invoices, etc. Because we're a document management system now, keep in mind, you can also attach the bill. All you have to do is go down to the very bottom and click the drag and drop section for the attachment. Okay, so if you want to scan it and attach it, you can do that as well. And I'm going to back out of this. Just keep in mind, under the plus, these entire first 2 columns and journal entries can be made automated. Okay, you can make these all reoccurring. Because we're in the Accountants Edition, I'm going to spend the majority of our remaining time in the toolbox. I just want to give you a kind of an idea of what's going on over here on the right, timekeeping, etc. Now, under the Accountants toolbox, let's go ahead and get started with writing off invoices. And of course, we can do batch. All you have to do is check them off. You'll notice down at the bottom, you can see I'm writing these off to bad debt. At that point on the bottom right, I click Preview. I review the invoices and I click Write Off. I've then written off a batch of invoices. Now back to the toolbox. Let me close out of this. Too many clicks. Back to the toolbox. Reclassifying transactions works in a very similar fashion. Let me pull up some transactions for us. All I need to do is come over on the right, select the transactions, come down to the bottom, click Class, change the class, and click the big blue button on the bottom right to reclassify. Okay? Batch reclassification, just that easy. Back to the toolbox. I can search for voided and deleted transactions. I can also add journal entries. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do journal entries. That's pretty much day one for most of us. What I do want to call out is down at the bottom. Remember, document management system. If I want to attach instructions or receipts to justify the journal, I can. Another handy tool on the top left is something we call the time clock. The time clock tracks all of your previous entries. So, I have a customer, look, I was working on a journal last week. I can't find the darn thing. All you have to do is go to the time clock, and we've got a catalog of those entries for you. Now, something that looks very similar to this, if you close it out, on the top right under the search, just click in it, and you'll notice we also catalog all of your transactions. So maybe you're working on a sales receipt from last week and you're not sure what happened to that. Just click inside of search, and you'll see a list. Now, the search field's great too. If you want to search for a report without necessarily having to go into the report section, you can do that here as well. Or under advanced search, we've got lots of filters and different ways to look for data. Now back to the toolbox, I'm going to come down here and click on Chart of Accounts. Keep in mind on the far right, I can import Chart of Accounts. The other little housekeeping tip is that the gear will customize your current view. We've got gears on lots of our screens. Just keep in mind, it'll help you customize your view. Now, reconciliation is a biggie. And I'm going to get started on a reconciliation. Remember earlier I'd mentioned apps. If you want to look at an app called HubDoc, HubDoc automates the entire back-end document collection process. So just think about what it takes to get bank statements every month. If you want to automate that entire process and have HubDoc do it for you, you can. And then consider you could have HubDoc open. Let's go to the App Store here. Let's consider you have HubDoc open on the right. If it pulls up here, let's go HubDoc, just to give you an idea of how online works. And now I've got HubDoc open on the right. Let's say that they found my bank statements for me and put it in my clients folders. You can then break it out from Chrome and move it over to another monitor. I've got my bank reconciliation on the left. I've got my bank statement on the right. Now I'm working in a paperless office solution. I didn't have to go out there and hunt for those documents. It's all been automated, okay? A little sneak peek of how to integrate apps there. Now the question I get pretty often on bank reconciliation is, look, I have all these checks at the end. How do I do a batch? All you need to do is click this little round button over here on the right, and that's how you do a batch, okay? The other question I get asked a lot is, look, where is the filters? That's this little kind of cone icon over here on the left. We have added artificial intelligence and machine learning in there. If you want to search amounts greater than, amounts less than, you can do that from the filter box as well. Okay, all that's under the reconciliation. Now the reconciliation works best with the bank feed. So over on the far left, I'm going to click on banking. The bank feed is very different from desktop. When I add an account, you'll see, look, either you or your clients, you're going to want to put in the username and the password for the institution. At that point, we bring in all of the transactions into QuickBooks Online auto-magically. You and your clients do not or have to go out and print bank transactions anymore. We bring it into QuickBooks automatically. The pushback I get at this point is, look, I don't want bank transactions feeding into my books automatically. That's going to create a mess. Rest assured, they actually come into this little holding tank here. They don't feed directly into your books unless you create a rule. So you'll notice here I've got McDonald's. All I need to do at this point is review it and then click add. When you click add, there you go. That's adding it to your books. Now if I need to make a change, let's say McDonald's came in uncategorized. All you need to do is come in and teach the machine, look, McDonald's is actually a travel meal. The machine will then act appropriately from then on. You'll notice I have customer tracking turned on for job costing. I've got class tracking turned on. I also have location tracking turned on. Very sophisticated, lots of depth to this particular section. The main thing to keep in mind is that it's automated the bank feed for you, okay? Very cool. Now over on the far right, we do still have the register. If you and your clients want to come in here and manually add credit card expenses, bills, etc., you can. It's all under the register. This is also where you could do your matching. Pretty easy. Back to the chart of accounts. Oh, one last tool I do want to mention. When you are on the reconciliation, we do have a matching utility. On the bank feed. We do have a matching utility. So if you want the system to find matching transactions, click find, and it'll open a window for you. It'll list those transactions for you, and you can match them up. So if you feel you have some duplicates in there, or if you've manually, common mistake, because we have the bank feed, folks will manually create check transactions. They're just used to doing it from desktop. It'll create a duplicate coming from the bank feed. You then want to match those up. All right. Now, I did say that you can create rules. That's at the very top. Click on bank rules. Click new rule. Let's say you have a payee. You want to go into a particular bucket because you want it to show up on a report a certain way. Create your rule. If the rule's to your liking, down at the bottom, you can also automatically add it to your books. That will automate the process. All right, let's close out of that. Now, moving down from the bank feed, I'm now going to click on sales. This is what we call our money bar. Keep in mind these are filters. If I want to filter out overdue amounts, all I have to do is click it. The thing about invoices, we just unlocked progress invoicing. Keep that in mind. And then lastly, products and services. We work off of a FIFO methodology, first in, first out. If your customers need something more advanced like DEAR methodology or channel management, please, by all means, let's talk about apps. Apps will drastically help you and your clients automate those processes. Now below that, I want to click on projects. If you or your clients are tracking unbilled time and expenses, non-billable time, project profitability, all that's available under projects. You can also create budgets by project, which is pretty cool. Coming down from projects, I'm going to click on workers. This is our new payroll module. First thing you have is employees. This is QuickBooks Online Payroll. One disclaimer, if your clients are doing their own payroll, QuickBooks Online Payroll is fantastic for them. If you're doing payroll on your client's behalf, I want to recommend Intuit Online Payroll in lieu of QuickBooks Online Payroll. I put all that under the cookbook for the accounting staff. Intuit Online Payroll for accountants is just better than QuickBooks Online Payroll for you. It gives you accountants controls, which means you can lock your clients out of certain parts of the payroll. You get better reporting. Oh, by the way, it's as low as $9.95 per month. As you know, QuickBooks Online Payroll is $49.95 per month per client. It's a fraction of the cost, tons more powerful. Take a look at Intuit Online Payroll if you're doing the payroll for your clients. Now, we've just recently added contractors. This is a refreshed way for you and your clients to hire contractors, to pay them, and also to prepare their 1099. All right, all that's under the Workers tab. Now, I'm moving down to taxes. This is where we have state sales tax, and we also have payroll tax, your W-2s, your 900 series. You can rename the agencies. Just click on rename. I get asked that pretty frequently. You can also create agencies over here on the far right, okay? Now, under payroll, this is where you have your 900 series and your W-2, all that's baked into the product. All right, switching gears, reports. Before I get into the reports tab, let's talk about report defaults. If you go to the toolbox and click on report tools, I get asked a lot, look, I'm working on a report, but for some reason when I close out of it, it defaults back to a funky time period. All you have to do is go to report tools and set up your defaults. You can tell the system exactly what your defaults should be, okay? I'm going back to reports now, and I'm on all reports. One thing to keep in mind, we've got a ton of canned reports for you and your clients. Unfortunately, under all reports, you have to click into the subjects to find them. You know, frankly, I would prefer just one long list of reports by subject and then let me search that list, but this isn't too bad. Let me share with you a best practice. Most of my accountants, when they want to create a template, what they do is they go to accountant reports first. And let's say for balance sheet, I'm just going to drag run up to the top. And then they just start with a canned balance sheet and start trying to customize that. It'll give you a headache. That's actually, let me show you a better way to do that. Instead of starting on the accountant reports, what I'd like you to do is start on all reports. Go into business overview. Find the report that most closely matches what you're trying to do. Profit and loss by class, profit and loss by location, balance sheet details. Start there and then customize that. You'll have a much better go of it. Now, for that matter, I do get asked, look, I do want to move information around. Once you click Customize on the top right, click Rows and Columns, and then change columns. You do have the ability to do that. You notice you can drag and drop these how you like them. Okay? Once you get the report how you like it, run it, and then on the top right, click Save. Now, you can name it whatever you want. You can also add it to a group, which I'm about to show you. And then below that, decide if you want to share it with your clients and your firm or just your firm. That's a biggie. All right, now let's talk a little bit about report groups. So I'm going to go back to reports, and I'm going to go back to my custom report. Now at the top, these are my individual reports that I've created, but you'll also notice below that I've got report groups. I've created a group for my audits. I've created a group for reports that I pull during tax time. I also have a group for my monthly reports that I send out to the client. Now, building reports, that's all low value. It's time consuming. We want to automate that. All you have to do is come over here to the right and click on Edit. Now tell the system every day, week, month, on the 3rd, I want to send those 5 beautiful custom reports to these individuals. Most of our bookkeepers and accountants add themselves in the carbon copy. Write a nice, warm, welcoming email, put in your signature line. The thing to keep in mind is that these are sent via PDF. You may want to attach the Excel file, okay? Now, the point is this. Once you set it up, every month on the 3rd, my customer gets a batch of customized, beautiful reports in a timely manner, and we look like rock stars. Every month on the 3rd, he gets those reports. I don't lift a finger. So we can automate all of these customized reports now. I do want to mention, if you're sending compilation reports, you can also automate those. I've got CPAs telling me they could send out compilation reports in 15 or 20 minutes, where it used to take them 3, 4, 5 hours to get those ready. Here's an example of what one of the reports look like. And then here's SARS 21 compliance that I added down at the bottom. If you want more information on how to automate compilation, just let me know. I'll get with you and help you through that. Now I'm going to close with the trial balance. It's tax time, so I'm going to go to the toolbox and click trial balance. This is the other item that came out of the working session with our accountants advisory panel. You'll notice there's a full working trial balance. On the far left, I can close out accounts, check them off. You'll see that those are person stamped and date stamped. Okay, so we can close out accounts. Multiple people can work on the trial balance. What you'll notice in the middle, I can do adjusting entries on the fly. They post directly to the trial balance. I'm not going to show you how to do a journal entry, but keep in mind we can attach documents. And please don't forget the time clock on the top left. It's very handy. Now over on the far right, we also have the ability to add work papers. If you go to YouTube, our accountants love this feature. You can add notes per line. You can also attach your work papers per account. Keep in mind, Excel, Word, PDFs, JPEGs, whatever you want to attach. There's no storage limit. There's only a file upload limit of 25 megabits per file. All right, closing out of that. If you are working in a product like Lacert, which is our premium tax software product, you'll want to export this trial balance to Excel, click that little white piece of paper, save it to your machine or to your server. In Lacert, it's the 6th tab over. It's called the trial balance utility. Click on it and click import from Excel. We map your chart of accounts. We do all the heavy lift. You can now automate that entire process. Online, here's what tax mapping looks like. I'm closing this out in 2 minutes. Please bear with me. Tax mapping, you'll notice we did all of the heavy lift. I've got my entire chart of accounts mapped through machine learning. Over on the right, if I need to make an adjustment, I just click edit. Super easy. Now, if you're using ProConnect Tax Online, all you have to do is click View Tax Return. Now, I'm going to overwrite existing balances. I don't want to keep rewriting it, so let me click Continue. What I want to show you, and I'm closing with this, you can now complete your 1120S and post all of those transactions within a millionth of a second. In fact, you can post them faster than I could say millionth of a second. So to give you an idea here, here's your Schedule K complete from QuickBooks Online, and here's page 1 of the 1120S. So if you're spending 3, 4, 5 hours on 1120s and 1065s, I'd much rather have you do a 15 or 20-minute review and then be on your way. So this is a little sneak peek of what automation looks like in the cloud. At very least, you could export it to Excel and import it into your desktop product. That is the end of the presentation. Let's get to our last polling question for today, and let me start answering a few questions for you. Have you learned any new tips today that you can use in QuickBooks Online Accountant? All right, Barry, I'm going to send you that information. Keep in mind, it is also found in your ProAdvisor basic training. So the question is how to write a check, make a deposit, create an invoice. I'm going to send you screenshots on how to do that personally. Keep in mind, it's all available in the training, and if you remember, it's under the ProAdvisor tab, and then under the basic certification. There you go. All right. Client's not receiving emails from QuickBooks, security. How have others handled this? Let me research. Great question, Melody. And just for clarification, are you meaning like their server or firewall? Thank you so much for that question. That's a great one. We're at 90% voted, 1 minute. I'm closing polling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. that is the end of today's presentation. Thank you so much for joining me today. One last thing, as you dig in, you will learn how to deal with the bumps and how to address them more and more quickly. I'm here to help. Please email me directly if you want, quick answers on how to write checks. Send me an email. I'll send you screenshots and get you the training that you need. The main thing is this: my CPA calls his business a practice. The reason is because nobody does it perfect. So let's learn together, let's learn fast, and of course, if you have any questions, send them on over to me. It's been a real pleasure today. I appreciate everyone's attentiveness on today's presentation. Do wish you the best out there. It is tax season. Hang in there. Hang in there. We're just getting started with this tax law change. Tons of new information coming daily, so just, hang tight. Thank you all. Have a great day. Question on the call: is the trial balance available? The trial balance is only available in the accountant's edition. I just had a quick question. I want to get that answered for you. There's a question about QBO Canada. I'll have to answer that later. And I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar. Please do use the email. Just send me an email if you have any further questions. Thank you all for joining me today.